welcome to NEO Now. I'm Dave Bacon. Tonight we are highlighting an organization that is helping a stronger and more inclusive Northeast Ohio, Resource Cleveland. From empowering youth through mentorship and education to supporting families as they build new lives here in our community, Resource Cleveland is creating real opportunities and real success stories right here in our backyard. Joining us today, Deputy Director of Resource Cleveland, Anelize Nader. Anelize, appreciate it. Tell us a little bit, for people that aren't familiar, tell us what Resource Cleveland is.
Well, we have been around for 16 years now. We originally started with the Ohio City Farm behind the West Side Market, where we employed refugees coming to town and grow fresh produce. From there, we learned that their kids needed help through their education journey. So we started with focusing on mentoring. So we now have a continuum of education from middle school, high school, post-secondary, career, or college. And parallel to all that, we have a sports, arts, and wellness program that we're going to hear later about, and wraparound services, which can mean benefits assistance, housing, employment, food, whatever the need might be. So in a nutshell, that's who we are.
Ohio City Farm, tell us a little bit more about it. What makes it so unique?
I would say, one, it's a large farm. We have 5 acres, very close to the city. It's a team of former refugees, so that we have, any single day, we have over 5 languages spoken at the farm. And it's we operate a CSA program, which is basically it's a social enterprise. So it helps us pay their wages and buy the supplies to grow all the products.
So CSA is Consumer Supported Agriculture. So basically, people can come and say, I want to get the fresh produce that's grown on the farm.
Yes, yes.
What have you found out about the farm and how it helps the people that are working there kind of integrate themselves into the community?
You know, David, I think that the most important thing is steady employment, right? When a family comes in, if they have work, steady, consistent work, then they can build their lives, they can grow their kids, they can send their kids to college, they will eventually buy houses. That's the main important thing. Is then alongside that, they will learn how to work in the U.S., how timeliness, accountability, paying taxes, all that kind of stuff that involves building a new life in a new country.
So what kind of impact does it have? So a lot of these folks have agricultural backgrounds.
Yes.
They come here and they work. What does it do for their kids? Because you mentioned their kids come in. What does it do for them?
That's the beauty of it, because once the parents come here and the kids, we always say that if the kids are happy and supported, the parents are happy. So if we help the kids succeed, then they will support their parents. So it's a win-win situation. And as they come here, the farm allows them, and we as an organization, we allow them to grow and to go through the humps, right? Because our mission is to assist newcomers as they navigate these challenges of settling in a new country, and then help them and collaborate with them so they can reach their dreams. So that's who we are.
So how can people get involved and support the mission at the Ohio City Farm?
At the Ohio City Farm, CSA registration is now open. So just to clarify what this is, so people buy shares in the beginning of the season. So right now the registration is open, and then they will receive every week for 20 weeks starting in June. They can have a whole share of half share, and there's a sliding scale in pricing, and they can add a bouquet. Beautiful flowers come with it, and it's fresh, organic produce. So it's vegetables, it's fruits, and the flowers and herbs. So it's really, really a cool thing, because, and you can see if you see the product, they come in this red bin. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous and it's very, very good.
All right, so looking ahead, what's your vision for the future of the Ohio City Farm? You mentioned it's been around a long time. What's the next step if there is one?
So the vision is actually, last year we built a 4,000 square foot pavilion. So that was a huge vision that we had back in the day. Now we have internal bathrooms. We have a wash and pack area for the team. We have a breakout room for the team. We have a commercial kitchen now that will provide opportunities for newcomer entrepreneurs. We have a store that's going to be open in a couple months, 2 or 3 months. It's going to be open. So all that allow newcomers to flourish. And in terms of a vision for the whole organization, I would say that we are very innovative, very flexible and lean. So when we see a need, we are very responsive. So stay tuned, there are some things coming up. There's always something going on and something new in the works.
So I know you have a big fundraiser coming up in September 26th, a benefit. How can people get involved in that? How important is it to resource Cleveland?
I'm biased to say, but I would say that this is the best party in town. The vibe is fantastic. We are next to actually, we have the Irish Town Band coming up pretty soon, so that's exciting. But it's a night that we see the downtown Cleveland. It's gorgeous, and we have vendors with food from 10 different countries. So that's a big, big hit. It is just a beautiful way for people to support us, and people can buy tickets or sponsorships. Just go to our website, resourcecleveland.org, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And everybody is happy in that night. So this September 26th is the last Saturday in September.
You mentioned just how you can tell you're excited to be part of this and some of the things that are going on. What keeps you going? What is it about your organization and your role in it that gets you excited to go to work every day?
The impact we have. So if you see, our team inspires me specifically. I'm not on the ground, but I hear everything that is being done. So and the beauty of this organization is that we respond. So we are there. Yes, we assist the kids. We have sports. We have the wraparound services. We have all that. But for example, November happened, and most of our families lost the SNAP. That's a big, huge help, and they were promised that assistance. So what did we do? We raise funds, and since November, every week we have different routes going out and we are supporting a total of 85 families every month. And we partner with food banks, so we bought items. So items come from our office, and then we go to the food bank, get other items. So every family gets 80 pounds of food every week. So it's pretty impressive. And we impact a lot of families. It is pretty impressive. And that's what makes my heart full.
That is outstanding work. Anelize Nader, continue the great work with Resource Cleveland. We appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
We're going to take a quick time out. We will continue to dive a little bit deeper into Resource Cleveland on NEO Now. We'll be right back after this break.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to NEO Now. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue to shine the spotlight on Resource Cleveland, and we're pleased to be joined by Becky Trout Ashenfelter. She's the director of Corner 65. Becky, tell us what Corner 65 is. I know it's part of Resource Cleveland, but this program, what does it do?
Yeah, so Corner 65 is a youth development program. It's geared towards athletics, arts, and mentorship through coaching. And so we offer sports, snowboarding and skiing, basketball, volleyball, soccer, Girls on the Run to all newcomer students here in Cleveland that are part of Resource Cleveland's programming.
What are some of the challenges with dealing with youth, particularly, that you have to deal with in this?
Yeah, so for newcomer youth particularly, they face a lot of different challenges with access. So a lot of times they're doing everything new for the first time. So they come to Cleveland and they're starting a new school, maybe for the first time ever, learning a new language for the first time ever, trying to figure out what society norms are within Cleveland and just being a teen. So it's very difficult a lot of times for them to have access to different programs. And so we try and give them opportunities in that way, so that way they don't have to worry about those first time nervousness that they might have in programs.
It would seem to me sports and arts and those kind of things could bring some normal things to what you've mentioned are just crazy changes for a youth.
Yeah. So teamwork's like our big highlight point of Corner 65. And so a lot of times a student might not know how to play basketball. It might be the first time that they're hearing about this sport, but the teamwork aspect, if they can come in and they can practice and they can play, it doesn't matter how well they are at that sport, that sense of belonging happens when they're able to join a team.
What's a typical day look like in that program then?
Yeah.
And I can tell there's passion there. What is it that keeps you going and wanting to? A lot of work.
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
Yeah. So a typical day for a kid might be they, get off their school bus and head home, and then we pick them up in our vans, get them to our office. Depends on what they signed up for. A lot of kids, soccer is their main sport. They're really passionate about soccer, so they'll come to the office. But it's part play, part practice, and then a lot of it's part just kind of hanging out and being a kid, having a safe place to play, connecting with their coaches, connecting with their mentors, and then also just being like, hey, Becky, I might need help with getting cleats for soccer. I need shin guards. I need socks to play, just to show up. So for me, sports was a huge part of my childhood and growing up. And even now, like, we're a society that loves sports and we love teams. And so being a part of something and being able to create spaces for these kids to also have that same experience that I had growing up really keeps me going, because you can tell that they love it so much. And they're able to also integrate into a community where they feel like they're accepted and they're welcomed by playing their neighbors and playing their classmates in our leagues that we play in.
Does it, in my way of thinking, it would really help kind of integrate somebody into a community, because school, books and learning are one thing. There's a language.
Yeah.
Sports are sports.
Yeah.
You know what the sport goal is. You know what the goal is.
Yeah.
Does that help integrate them into the
sure.
the community?
Yeah, you don't have to speak English to kick a soccer ball around. And you don't have to speak English to develop relationships. A lot of our coaches are volunteers from the community in Cleveland. A lot of them are also volunteers that have graduated out of Corner 65, and some staff members now too. So when you can kick a soccer ball around and share a sport, that really does help build that sense of community. And like I said, playing against their classmates and their neighbors in our partnerships with Near West Rec really helps bring them in. And then when they're at school, they're like, hey, I played against you this weekend. That was a great game. And that's a way for them to connect with their other peers.
Can you share a story of a student who has really kind of thrived throughout that program, throughout this program?
Yeah, for sure. I could talk about this for a really long time, but I'll highlight a couple that we've had. I've had 3 boys that started with us back in 2018, and they were really into soccer. They were going to go pro. That was their goal. Not so into school, mostly because when you have to keep asking for support at school, asking for help, your dignity kind of takes a hit a little bit, because you're asking for the same access points all the time. And so with these 3 boys, soccer was kind of their resource, their tool to get them excited about school. And so working at Resource and bringing Corner 65 into the organization, these 3 boys were then able to have access points to like teen response and help making sure that their home life was good. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good my program is, it could be the best program in all of Ohio, all of the United States. If that kid goes home at the end of the day and there's not food on the table, there's not heat at home, it doesn't matter. So being at Resource and having that holistic approach really helped these students connect in general. So like working with Teen Response and Miss Kim, I was able to say, hey, Miss Kim will connect you to this. You can get your grades up. And so those students, once they were able to see like, okay, I have soccer, I have school connected, now I can also be a mentor and give back to the kids that are also coming up behind me. We now have them on staff. We have 3 specialists, so Betty, Daniel, and Irene, shout out to you guys, who are leading the next generation, but also working jobs every day here in Cleveland. One's a contractor, one's doing electrician work. So it really shows that holistic approach and how they have integrated into the community and want to be members of our Cleveland community.
You mentioned mentorships. How important are they to this program?
I think they're everything. When you have someone that believes in you, you start to believe in yourself more. Even myself, you know, growing up, I might not feel confident in stepping into a room that might not know anybody, but if you have someone cheering you on and rooting for you, it really, it impacts and changes trajectories of life. So I think mentorship and coaching in a positive way can really impact a youth's life.
What have you learned from kind of being a part of this and being around these students?
Yeah, that success is measured differently by everybody, and it's definitely not linear. And community and how we interact with one another is really important in that success measure. And overall, like, no matter if you walk into a room and it's not the most kind environment, if you walk in with humility and willing to try, that has stuck out to me, is that every day, like I said, these students are trying something for the first time. And as an adult, oftentimes I forget what that's like, because you kind of get into your habits, you get into your flow. So I think trying new things, keeping me on my toes, slowing down, talking with people, listening and learning has been a huge impact in my life.
How can people in Northeast Ohio get involved and support the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so every summer we have a program called Game On. It's where we have about 150 students come out and they get to explore sports and see what sports maybe they're interested in, or build skills on the sports that they love. So we have volunteer opportunities for that. That's pretty much our big volunteer opportunity that we offer throughout the year. If you're interested in coaching a sport like basketball, volleyball, or soccer, we are looking for volunteer coaches. And then we have lemonade stands every summer. The kids love lemonade stands. I think this is one of the biggest ways they feel like supported by the Cleveland community. Coming out and getting a cup of lemonade, which is really good, really shows them like, hey, our neighbors care that we're here. They want us to be here. They're excited about this.
Becky Trout Ashenfelter,
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the time. Keep up the great work with Corner 65 and Resource Cleveland.
Thanks, appreciate it.
We will step aside, take a brief time out. At the other side, we will continue to shine the spotlight on Resource Cleveland. You're watching NEO Now. Stay with us.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
We continue shining the spotlight on Resource Cleveland on this edition of NEO Now, and we are pleased to be joined by Kim Wheeler, Senior Program Manager for Teen Response. Kim, tell us, Teen Response, what is it and why is it so important?
Well, we help students who have just arrived here from other countries. So They're newcomers who come as teenagers going into high school for the first time, which is daunting if you're born here, but just imagine what it's like if you're coming from another country, learning another language. So we support those students as they do go to high school. We have about 400 students in our program, and our staff is in 4 different high schools. So we're in the Parma School District, also the Cleveland School District, and our students are from all over the world. Some of them have never been in a formal school until now. So that's a really big adjustment because they've come from places where there's been war, or girls, maybe it's not safe for them to go to school. So this is a huge transition for those students.
When you see that, what are the most common challenges? I mean, you touched on it. High school for teens, if you're in this country, is daunting. What are the most difficult challenges for teens that are just coming to this country?
Right. Well, we've had students who have told us that, you know, when they started high school, they knew no one in the school. They didn't know where to go. Nobody was really helping them get to class. And so they were lost. And so hearing those stories, we wanted to make sure that we had mentors for those students who had been through this process before, could guide them through what high school is going to be like. They would have somebody they could talk to when they were having challenges, but somebody to be there on the first day that they go to school. So we do that at all of our schools. We have staff members who are there who often speak the same language as the students and help them through that first day. You know, a huge barrier, of course, is language. And, you know, if you're in a school and all day somebody is speaking to you in English and you're processing, that can be really tough for kids. And just, you know, the experience of going to a school in a different country. We just want them to know that they have a safe space with us. We can help them with some of those issues. And, you know, we build a lot of trust between the students and our staff members.
Yeah, that kind of leads into, how do you do that? I mean, teenage kids don't want to trust a lot of adults a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, we do things like we go to their graduations. We go to soccer games. We're there for, you know, different school events that they're participating in. So we're consistent with helping them with academics. Also, you know, homework, English language learning. We have summer programs. But it can be something like getting a text message from a student saying, do we have school tomorrow? Or what do I do about getting driving lessons? Things like that. So they're really in constant contact with us for the most part. So I think that definitely makes them feel like there's somebody there to support them, and that's what often is missing.
What kind of skills do you try to build? You know, and what tools? You mentioned, you know, a couple of them, but I got to believe it goes very deep to with these kids. What do you use to develop those skills?
Well, we have teachers who work for us who are English as second language teachers. So we offer a lot of language lessons, either after school, during school, and in the summer, because language is probably the biggest barrier when coming to another country and trying to get used to everything. So that has helped our students. We've taken students in the summer who were really pre-literate, and their improvement was significant. We've, you know, done before and after tests, and, you know, maybe their math skills and English skills have gone up as much as 20%, if not more. So that's key. But also helping them with their classes. They come to us with homework that they don't really understand, so we try to like boil it down for them and try to explain it to them. We have staff members that do speak Swahili, they speak Ukrainian. We have staff members that speak Arabic. So all of that really helps our students because they can communicate in the same language if they're having trouble with English, and there's somebody that can, you know, guide them on what to do next in a language they're comfortable with.
So I guess, how do you measure success with these programs? And I know you're probably looking at that. When you look at success, what's it look like?
Well, we have a 100% graduation rate with our students who are with us in the program, and that is, I mean, that's a huge, you know, outcome for our students who come in often not having been in school before. So that means a lot to us, but more so is how the students adjust. and how they feel in high school. You know, we have students that are participating in sports. We encourage them to do that. We've had students who have learned to drive through a program that we have. And then we see them go on to either Tri-C or a 4-year college, and we stay in contact with them too through that. We have another program that focuses on post-secondary. So that's what success is. And seeing students who came in and really didn't want to talk to anybody for obvious reasons, who, you know, were just having a really hard time shutting down in school, to, you know, smiling and telling us about something that's happened in their life that they want to share with us. That's the main thing.
Can you share a specific success story that kind of makes you smile?
Yeah, we had a student, it was about 3 years ago, when a lot of our Ukrainian students came to Cleveland, and most of them went to the Parma schools. And there was a student, he was a 9th grader, and I saw him, and this was before we had hired our Ukrainian staff. He was just in full meltdown. He was withdrawn. He was really inconsolable. And so after seeing that, I went back to our office and talked to our executive director and told him that, you know, we are really going to need help for these students because they had just arrived. The war had really just started, so it was very, very traumatic for them. And since then, that student who, you know, did not do well his first year, emotionally or academically, he's now a junior. He talks to many people, many more than he did. It used to be, you know, we wouldn't really even ask him a lot of questions because we didn't really want to push. But he smiles. He's helping tutor other students in math. He's also in the gifted program now. So seeing that would not have happened without our staff in Parma to help him. It really wouldn't have.
So what role does mental health and emotional support play? I mean, I think that's what you're kind of getting at with that.
We have to really be aware of some of the signs that students may show when they've been through something traumatic. And we have resources that we can then share with the parents. Sometimes the schools will come to us with concerns. So we do have a lot of support and resources of people that, you know, can work with our students when they're going through, you know, a real crisis and just some of the trauma that they've experienced. But, you know, sometimes that's hard too if you don't have a relationship to encourage a family to maybe find counseling for their child. It's not always accepted everywhere, so that's where the trust part and relationships comes in. And you know, that's definitely a big part of us being there for the students, because if they're having a crisis or something's, you know, really bothering them, they will usually come to us and, you know, ask for help. And that's, you know, that's key.
What gives you the most hope when you look at the future and the teens you're working with?
They are so driven. They are facing so many challenges when they come here, things that, you know, most of us have never experienced, and they know what they want, and you know, the fact that they've gone through what they have and they're coming to school every day, you know, they want to go to college. All the motivation is there. It's just the barriers are still there as well, so that's what we really have to work on reducing for them. And, you know, watching them walk across the stage, sometimes they're valedictorians in their high schools. I mean, that's amazing. And it's great to be sitting, you know, in the audience seeing that and knowing that you've gotten to know that family and that student. That's a real privilege.
Kim Wheeler, thanks so much for the time. Keep up the great work with Teen Response.
Thank you.
Kim Wheeler, and that's going to wrap it up for this edition of NEO Now. We hope you enjoyed it, shining the spotlight on Resource Cleveland, especially the Teen Response Program with Kim Wheeler, who is the Senior Program Manager. We'll see you next time on NEO Now. I'm Dave Bacon. Have a great night, everyone.